All right, folks, the trillion-dollar question: does Ripple's ODL impact the price of XRP? And actually, it probably would be better stated, the question that's worth tens of billions of dollars, because Ripple has not moved $1 trillion ODL yet, right? But if we're going to put a dent in the universe, we might be working towards that, right? So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. So many people confused about the facts, and it's easy to do when you got all these haters and fudsters that make their whole program about trying to distort the facts, confuse the facts. And how's their program working out? Are they making any money? No. But they try to bring us down, those of us who are making something outside of XRP. And when our XRP does do a little something, they always try to bring us back, but they can't stop us. Nothing can stop what is coming, which is an all-time high for XRP, which is a much, much higher price than today's 60 cents. You know, is it going to go to 589? For me, it's going to be a fun journey finding out, right? And the progress, the trajectory, the momentum, the adoption is unlike any other that we've seen in the space. You know, there's very few other projects that actually have people that matter, institutions using the blockchain. There's a lot of consultations, partnerships, fireside chat, photo opportunities. Is anybody actually using your token? It's the number one question that I ask about any project before I get to the tech or anything. Because you could have the best tech in the world, or you can have tech that really doesn't even work that well, but people are still using it, i.e. Ethereum, Bitcoin, prime example. It's the number one coin, right? And it's slow, efficient, or, deficient, and very expensive, but it's still in the number one spot. So the number one question that I always ask with all of these crypto projects when I'm going to make an investment, this isn't financial advice, but something to consider maybe, right? Who's using the project? Who's using the token? Who's using the blockchain? That actually matters, that actually has to move significant amounts of money. Now, we know with SWIFT, with ACI Worldwide, the clearinghouse in the United States doing a couple trillion per day, right? The FX market trading about $7 trillion per day. We know that Ripple, using the XRP ledger, with XRP being the native asset, they're targeting trillion-dollar problems on a daily basis. These are markets and values that are moving and settling, and liquidity flows valued at quadrillions per year. That's quadrillions with a Q. That's right, folks. This isn't crazy talk. Now, let's get right on into it. We just saw a massive liquidation, over 100 million liquidated out of the Bitcoin cryptocurrency space within the last 60 minutes as I'm recording this here. This is April 1st at about 8:30 on the West Coast. This will be dropping first thing in the morning, so we'll see what the charts have done by then. But as I recorded the video this morning, we had done this dip down to 68,000 real quick. We're at about 69,000. I said, guys, I woke up and folks were saying in the comments, oh, there's blood in the streets. I'm like, this is not blood in the streets. Just hold on. Sure enough, we bounced back up here earlier today, intraday trading. And then within the past 60 minutes, we did a wick all the way down to 65,000 for Bitcoin. That's the one that I've been warning about. And actually, it actually goes a lot further, in my opinion. This 17% correction from the all-time high, I think, was just one of the signals. And we're struggling to build support up here. We triple tapped above 71,000. Now we're clearing it back out. We'll see where it goes from here. But you know that we're liquid with cash on the sideline, ready to move. And nobody is going to change the fundamentals that we continue to see getting better and better here for XRP. I do not care about that. In fact, I love to see it. Love to see it. Short-term price action, the downside, is an opportunity for us to continue our program. We love to see it. Let's continue on, folks. The total wealth held by the top 1% of Americans is now at a record 44.6 trillion. When I say this is the greatest transfer of wealth in world history, I'm not just memeing you. This is not an April Fool's joke. This is for real. This is based off data, the numbers. And this is the situation at hand. Is some folks are getting on the right side of this thing. Some folks have been on the right side of the transfer of wealth, and they're continuing to grow. Others are on the wrong side. And instead of being accountable, instead of figuring out their program, instead of taking action, they'd rather complain. They'd rather, we need to tax the top 1%. They need to give up some of that wealth. Well, they're going to give up some of it. A lot of them are willing, actually. They're going to be selling businesses, real estate, equities. And this is our opportunity. This means that the top 1% of Americans now control 30% of all wealth in the United States, all part of the program. Destroy the middle class, haves and have-nots. In Q4 2023 alone, the top 1% saw their net worth increase by $2 trillion as the stock market soared. Since 2020, the wealth of the top 1% has risen by almost $15 trillion. That's a 50% increase in just 3 years, all as affordability has hit record lows. The wealth gap is widening, only going to increase. And speaking on that, look at what these guys are doing at BlackRock and Fidelity, scooping up almost 400,000 Bitcoin, worth $27 billion. This is two institutions, nearly 400,000 Bitcoin. Here before long, they're going to have, 5%, 10% of the total supply is going to be eaten up here by these institutions. We're well on the way. Little connection here between Ripple Partners China Bank. Oh, wait, what? I thought that no banks were interested in XRP. I thought they were partnered with Ripple but not using XRP. Hold up. We better fact check this one real quick. Connection between Ripple Partners China Bank and D-Money via RippleNet was announced on 12/23. CB's page adds more adds more network info. China Bank's remittance partnership with Qatar National Bank. Oh my goodness, another bank. And mobile money in Malaysia are also on board via RippleNet. But are they using XRP? See, this is what they say, right? They're partnered up with Ripple, but they're not using XRP. Oh, wait. Cashta brings the receipts. But China Bank isn't a bank, LOL. But China Bank doesn't use ODL. Laughing face emoji. China Bank and QNB's partnership in adopting Ripple's ODL is more evidence of the growing acceptance of blockchain-based solutions in the overseas remittance market. So Cashta pulling up with the receipts and showing us that QNB, Qatar's national bank, that would be a bank, okay, and China Bank moving the flows through ODL. So there you have it, folks. And we got another one right here. I wanted to clarify this. I had put out this tweet, and see, this is where I don't mind being corrected, and I want to provide the context. I want everybody to understand this, and I don't want to confuse the facts. In this tweet here, I quoted, and this is directly from the SEC's filing, right? Their initial brief on remedies. And I said, SEC confirmed pre-allocation. Deals were done before lawsuit, and XRP was actually sold after the complaint was filed. By the way, this was to 4 different institutions, right? Those institutions that don't want XRP. Oh, yeah, those ones. Yeah. Performance occurs at a later date. This is $200 million in proceeds from 4 different institutional buyers. $265 million. Okay. Now, Cashta provides a point of clarity, and this is important. Okay. These are ODL users, not pre-allocation buyers. Not after the complaint was filed, which the SEC and Ripple confirm have only been ODL users who have purchased since 2019. The SEC here is just lumping ODL with institutional sales because the judge mentioned ODL in parentheses. This is a very important clarification that I should have made. Now, Cashta had sent me a DM and he said, fact check this, right? Here's the deal. And I said, thank you for bringing this up. I should have added this context. That's very important because this is basically a net neutral transaction. And I'm going to talk about this, right? In this video here that I've titled, Does Ripple's ODL Impact Price? I'm going to explain why it does, but let's be very clear here. These particular pre-allocation contracts were not pre-allocation contracts so that they could accumulate a position, or at least not that we know of. See, here's what's so interesting is nobody knows. Here's the one thing that nobody knows besides Ripple is how much XRP are they keeping on their balance sheets, if any, right? We're seeing these institutions are now buying. It's basically a buy and a sell simultaneously to conduct the ODL flow. Now, what we're seeing is Ripple selling off a lot, and they're also buying back a lot of XRP to facilitate this. And I believe that in the process, there are some crumbs that are being left, or maybe they're treating them as reserves on their balance sheet, that are being left with these institutions. But no one can tell because we're not getting publicized reports from Ripple. They don't owe us those reports. They're not a public company. And these are the exact sales and dealings that have wound them up in trouble, and the reason why the SEC is now requesting $2 billion. So I understand why they don't want to just air this out for everybody to see. right? But when they were reporting it back in 2022, right, they reported selling, over 10 billion XRP, and they actually bought back $10 billion worth of XRP as well, right? So huge amounts of selling, but then also buying it back. Now, this is the whole title and premise of this video, is I want to explain why Ripple's ODL does impact price. Let me explain this, and then I'll read the next tweet to counter and to check, right? Because it's very important to understand this. So those pre-allocation contracts, it was XRP that was going to be sold off to those institutions for ODL, but it wasn't necessarily for them to accumulate and hold the XRP. But the reason why Ripple's ODL does impact price is because you still need the allocation. You still need that allocation set off to the side of XRP. Think of it like the AMM liquidity pools, right? Ripple has their own liquidity pool. It's called on-demand liquidity. And they have to make sure that XRP is available in that liquidity pool for the on-demand liquidity flows. They've been using centralized exchanges, which is another reason why it hasn't impacted price. And that is soon to move to the DEX. And we believe soon that it's going to be tapped into the AMM, which will have an impact on price. But you have to understand, supply side dynamics always impact the price of an asset, right? We talk about this with gold and silver, the supply shortage that we've seen in silver, the deficit that we've seen over the past few years, hundreds of millions of ounces short on silver. Well, if you didn't have enough XRP over there, right, you wouldn't be able to facilitate these flows. So an allocation from Ripple has to be set aside for on-demand liquidity, which is why I would say that, does ODL buying and selling impact price? No. In Ripple's own words, which I'll show you next, they admit, and they admit, and they try to make the point that their activity with on-demand liquidity, the buying and the selling, is meant, it's designed, they want it to be neutral as far as the impact on price. They don't want to be seen manipulating price. That's another reason why they hired the market makers and they deployed the bots, is because they're trying to have as little of impact on price as possible while they facilitate these flows. But you have to understand, we don't know what the total number is. Do they have 5 billion allocated over here? Do they have 10 billion XRP allocated over there? It's probably not that much, because we know that Ripple has about 40 billion in escrow, and they have anywhere between 5 and 10 billion available outside of escrow that they could use at any given time for ODL or anything else that they wanted to use. So the XRP that they have allocated for on-demand liquidity, how much is it? 1 billion XRP, 5 billion XRP? We don't know. But whatever it is, that is XRP that's not available for the public. Does that impact price? You bet it does. So do the on-demand liquidity buying and selling activity, does it have a direct impact on price? Not necessarily, but by extent, it's locking up supply. Think of the Corium bridge that just got built. The Corium bridge just got built, and there's already about 300,000 XRP that's been locked up for that bridge. That's XRP that's locked up that's not available for liquidity, which all goes back to the liquidity value equation that I've been using now for a couple years. It's a completely different equation from market cap, a metric that should not be applied when trying to determine liquidity value. Different equation. Simple math, but different equation. Many people want to confuse the facts instead of sticking to simple math. Now, let's address it a little bit further. Let's see what they want to say. So this is Crypto Aries sharing this one. Ripple Wells submission for the SEC. It's necessary to share again because many new hype channels are promising the moon with the use of XRP as a bridge currency. ODL transactions are demand neutral, therefore do not impact the price of XRP. Basically, there's a buyer and a seller right away. And so this is from the Ripple's Wells notice. This is from them, their Wells submission for the SEC. And they're trying to make the case, right? They say most, not all, but most ODL transactions are demand neutral. Each involves the purchase and sale of the exact same amount of XRP in a short time and therefore do not impact the price of XRP. So from Ripple's own words, we can see that, right, the buying and selling activity does not have an impact on price, or most of it does not, and their objective is not to have an impact on price. But when you lock away a certain amount of asset, if you remove supply available from the public available supply, you're basically removing it out of circulation and keeping it in your own liquidity pool. Does that make an asset more scarce? And does scarcity impact price? I think you know the answer to those questions. So let's not get too lost in the sauce and the technical nuance. They're making the asset more scarce. They're keeping the XRP for their ODL flows. It's a more scarce asset because of that. That's a net positive on price. And when those flows grow, when on-demand liquidity continues to grow, as we just reported on here today, China Bank, Qatar National Bank, using XRP for on-demand liquidity, right? As this grows, more XRP gets allocated over there. And as David Schwartz famously said, right? Typically, when you have a higher price of an asset, you can move more volume, right? You can more easily settle these volumes. And so, I'm not really going to go into this Panos. He's trying to say that when I brought this up, people attacked me, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to get into that because the point remains the same thing here, guys. Let's keep it simple, right? Ripple is going to be keeping a certain allocation here for on-demand liquidity. The speculation right now that's going around is, will they be deploying to the AMMs? And I believe that they will. But there will only be so much XRP made available for each one of these liquidity pools, right? Even if they do deploy, right? Are they going to deploy 1 billion XRP to all these liquidity pools? Maybe they will. That'd be fantastic, right? It would build up these liquidity pools and help sustain them. And I've long speculated, right, that they're going to be building these liquidity pools up with their institutional partners. SBI Holdings is going to issue tokenized yen. Circle is going to issue USDC. And Ripple, in partnership and tandem with these partners, right, is going to add to these liquidity pools. Ripple adds the XRP, Circle adds the USDC. They do it, and make an even trade. They make it balanced out. Ripple adds 1 billion XRP, USDC adds 1 billion, or basically the equivalent in USDC, right? And that's how you fill out these liquidity pools and make them sustainable. And this all comes back to my main thesis that a supply shock is actually incoming for XRP. I know many people think that that's crazy. I know many people think that that's absurd because they hear, right, that Ripple has 40 billion in escrow. There's 50 something that's circulating. There's actually not 50 billion circulating. My XRP is not circulating. Many of you guys have XRP. Is it circulating? Is it available for liquidity? No. Are you going to put all your XRP into the AMM liquidity pools? No. There is way less XRP circulating than is being reported, and there is way less XRP that is going to be able to go to these liquidity pools, right? And I don't think that Ripple is just going to dump into these liquidity pools because what that action is selling XRP. When you add XRP to an AMM liquidity pool, you're selling, right? And so I don't think that they're going to dump it, but I think that there's a strategic way that they can do it with partners to add to these AMM liquidity pools with their on-demand liquidity partners and help bring the ODL flows to the DEX, facilitated through the AMM, the best liquidity in the world, coming to the XRP ledger. So yeah, does Ripple's on-demand liquidity impact price? By extension, yes, it does. Directly? No, net neutral. But does it lock up a certain amount of the supply, making XRP more scarce? Abso-freaking-lutely. Let's not confuse the facts or get lost in the technical nuance. And let's understand that Ripple is doing what's best for the XRP Ledger ecosystem, along with all of the other builders and developers. And together, we have massive momentum behind our community. Disregard the FUD, disregard the haters, disregard the price charts going down, unless you're looking for an opportunity like I am. And let's take advantage of it, folks. It's the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. I want to make sure that you, your family, and your business get on the right side of this transfer that's well underway, and it's only going to continue to pick up from here. Let's make sure we get it done. Q1 is over of 2024. I hope that you guys have been hitting your goals, hitting your targets. Let's make sure that we are on track. If it was off to a bumpy start, now's the time. Q2 has started. It has begun, and let's make the most of it. Everything is available at my website, zachrector.com, and I really do appreciate all of your guys' support, whether it's the smashing of that thumbs up, whether it's sharing out far and wide, just making sure that you're a subscriber. Really do appreciate you for showing up here every single day. And if you need community resources for precious metals, wallets, or exchanges, or to get tapped into our exclusive private community, Patreon to get access to Discord is the program. We would love to see you there. God bless you all. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.